Hey folks, welcome to a Sunday edition of the Free Press Sports with Carlos and Shawn. I cannot believe how big this news is. Killian Hayes was sent to the bench for all you Pistons fans out there. It happened earlier today. I know that didn't look like a basketball court over our shoulder back there, but I just thought that was by far the biggest news of the day. Pistons Twitter was going crazy.
Is every football story you write a basketball story? You start the Michigan one with what happens at Madison Square Garden or something, how the fans were there for Michigan before getting into the whole thing with Maryland and all that, right? I mean, you're just...
you mean, when the fans were chanting free Harbaugh, free Harbaugh,
yeah.
all the way in New York. Yeah, because it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And we also know Michigan fans are everywhere, and they have an enormous, the university has an enormous alumni base in New York and Southern California, where you're purportedly from.
Yeah, from the desert out there near Phoenix. I'm from Southern California. But even out there, they got wind of probably this is going to reverberate through the NFL, right? The Lions narrowly missed.
We're not here to talk about New York or LA or the Pistons. Thankfully, I guess, to a lot of you out there. But my goodness, Carlos, what the heck did we just watch? You had most of your column done, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. So did you.
What were you saying? Let's start with there. What did your column say with about 4 minutes to go in the game today when the Lions were trailing 26-14?
It said, I knew this was going to happen. This is what I predicted, exactly how I called it. And I was not surprised at all, Shawn. This is how, I picked the right score in the paper almost exactly.
But what had you written at that point? What were you about to say?
The Lions were going to come roaring back. As we all know, they're resilient. No, they wouldn't. Of course, you should have seen press row. It was like a bunch of monkeys on, Adderall, just trying to feverishly change what they had written because it happened. I mean, they went ahead with 29 seconds left, but it was like they were down
26-14,
scores, right?
26-14
with 4 minutes left.
With about 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
What
and not looking good.
What had you written though at that point? What were you going to say? Because that looked like a not a good loss.
One of the things I was going to say is there's little excuse for this. For the Bears came in with 3 wins. They still have 3 wins. They left with 3 wins. And to do this at home, right, against Justin Fields' first game in a month, the Bears are not a good team. They have a good front of their defense. The front 7 is good. But otherwise, they don't have great players. They're a struggling team. Their coach might probably going to get fired after the end of the season. So they don't have much to play for. And the Lions have a lot to play for. And, so they're home. They got the fans. The fans are crazy as they have been. And everybody was pretty healthy. They were missing Jonah Jackson, your favorite player of all time, an offensive lineman, a guard. So, but other than that, they were pretty healthy. So they had both running backs. They had Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Goff, all these guys, right? So it really made no sense. It was a weird way for them, and Goff throws 3 interceptions and just doesn't look good. But it was weird. I mean, I think everybody was kind of shocked, weren't you?
I mean, yes. No. I wasn't. I don't know that I was shocked because it's still the NFL. And this is the thing we always forget about the NFL. It's not like there's some sports where the talent disparity can be so great that the bottom teams of the league have no chance. I think we see that in hockey some. And baseball just depends so much on the pitcher, but so many sports, the talent gap can't be overcome. But for whatever reason in football, especially now, maybe college football is different, but in the NFL, you're a good player if you get to the NFL. Period. You know how to play football, and you're good. So the degrees are not a whole lot. You mentioned the front 7 of the Bears. They got a good running back. They've got a great receiver in Moore. And Fields may not be able to throw much, but he's a load when he runs. So
he made some good throws.
So they can do some things. They've got some talent. And Campbell and a few of the players this past week talked about that, right? They didn't talk about
week. It's a
no. They said what jumped off the film about them, and they know this, was how they got after it despite their record, which is a testament to the coach. Although I guess the coach is going to get fired, but the coach is probably going to get fired to a degree because they have more talent in their record shows. Maybe it's certainly possible. That's generally why coaches get fired. But I wasn't shocked because what happens when you have 3 interceptions and a fumble? Does that mean you're not ready? Does that mean it's sloppy? Does that mean it's inexcusable? One of the interceptions was bad. He didn't see the linebacker, right, who was behind the defensive line and underneath the coverage. He didn't see him. That's Goff's fault. He took blame for that after. But the other 2, one's a tip ball. The other one is his man.
And he could have had 2 more almost too.
Yeah, Laporta got picked, so to speak, and it jammed up the timing. So what happens? You have 4 turnovers. You can't get any rhythm. Is it inexcusable, or is it the NFL football and you're just gonna have a bad? I don't know. It would have been interesting to see what you wrote if they were any nuance.
You'll never know, Shawn. It's going to be dead and buried. Only I know the truth here. No, I mean, this is, there's nobody. When I was coming in, we'd have to take a shuttle from our parking, structure, and on the ticket text or whatever, they were reading something, and someone had texted, a Bears fan probably, SOL, go Bears, and they were having fun with it. Oh yeah, SOL, oh cute Bears, nice try. There's no way, these are not the same old Lions. They're going to crush the Bears today. Everybody predicted a win, and not by a little bit either in this game. So I think that was the surprising part, that it kept happening, that the Lions just really offensively couldn't get much rhythm, defensively couldn't do much. Yet again against a mobile quarterback struggling, coming off a struggling performance defensively in LA. So this was an area of concern, I think. I mean, usually what's been going on with the Lions is the offense saves the day. The offense is the dependable unit, and the defense is going to let them score some points. It's going to happen. They don't have their defense it's uneven, right? Against bad teams, they've been holding their own, doing a really good job, and they've climbed up the statistical ladder. But against some better teams, and especially with mobile quarterbacks, it throws them off. So the Lions had to rely on their offense today. And when that wasn't happening, when the offense makes too many mistakes, too many turnovers, Craig Reynolds had a turnover on a kickoff, so, but Goff, I mean, like Dave Burkett said, he's like, we're talking about the picks, the Goff threw and say, could have had 5. He could have had 2 more picks, and
he could have won a particular.
Yeah. So and it could have been a pick 6 on that one at the goal line. So this is a thing where I'm surprised by this. I guess mostly I'm surprised by the offense's, inability to get anything going, to sustain any momentum up until the end of the game, when they really had to come forward and step through. And I think the team was, the sense I got from Dan Campbell, and the rest of the players was they were really happy to win this game, and they're going to color it as, boy, we're resilient. We can win when it all, when it comes down to crunch time. And Campbell said he told the defensive players, is there anything more fun than stopping, all this? You can paint it that way, but they could have easily lost this game. I mean, it was in the Bears' clutches. So that's the thing where you have to be concerned, I think, is yes, they won, but you have to look at how they won and what are some of the concerning issues here. Now Goff has thrown 5 picks in 4 games. He's normally very accurate, but that's something that they got to look hard at the tape for, and they don't have a lot of time before Thursday's game to correct any little issues that may be happening. But to me, this is a concern. You don't do that against a 3-win. I don't care. The NFL, yeah, it's all about parity, blah, blah, blah. But the Bears are not a good team. Every team has talent. Yeah, they all have talent. Of course, you're not in the NFL if you don't have talent. But there are variations and gradations of talent and experience and winning. And this is what the Lions proved, though, is they proved they are a better team than the Bears, because Jared Goff said, the experience, having gone through this, good teams. He said, good teams, I don't know how they do it, but they just pulled it out somehow. And the Lions did. They are a good team, but they have to be careful. They cannot survive these kind of games against good teams later on, as they get closer to the playoffs, getting a high seed in the playoffs, and when they get to the playoffs. So they got to be careful about this kind of stuff.
Well, we saw that earlier in the year against Seattle when they turned the ball over. I want to say 3 times. You turn the ball over, you're almost always gonna lose, right? And again, 2 of the picks were not really his fault. The other one would mean 3 picks in 4 games. That's still too many, right? I you take out the couple that are fluke. I don't remember the other 3 prior to this. Prior to today, but maybe they were all his fault. Maybe he's just not seen as well. Although, I think it has everything to do with the pocket. Does he have time? He had a lot of time last week in Los Angeles. They had a good defensive line too. I don't know that Jonah Jackson makes all that difference. I just think, yes, the Bears were 3-7, and they are what you think they are in a degree, but they just added Montez Sweat, who, by the way, got a sack today. And
should have picked him up.
There was just more pressure. He did not have as much time to throw today, and that changes everything for him. It just does.
Yeah, but you have to recognize that the Bears have a good front 7.
But what can you do? I mean, what do you mean recognize?
Change things up. You got to be faster. You got to, get out of your hands quicker. And it is true. I mean, Goff has had the luxury of a lot of time back there, and you have to be able to adjust.
But this is the thing with Goff. What is he the quarterback if the pocket's collapsing all the time? What kind of quarterback is he? I mean, that's true of any quarterback, right? But there are only a few that can get out and make plays. He can do that occasionally here and there. I mean, to me, that was really the difference. if they'd lost, yeah, it's a bad loss, mostly because it's at home, and I get it. But
they were getting booed.
But they were. But because of the expectation, right? But Jared Goff talked about this. By the way, he said he's been on the other side of these. What happened today? To me, that's what's amazing. When's the last time? I mean, Stafford did a few fourth quarter comebacks, but
several. Yeah.
But 26-14 with 4 minutes to go after you played arguably the worst 3.5 quarters of football all year. Because at least at Baltimore, they're a Super Bowl caliber team, right? So the Bears are not.
Right.
So you can understand that a little bit more.
And it was in Baltimore.
It's in Baltimore. It just kind of gets away from you, and you just can't ever get traction. Today was just, they were a mess in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it was that's the problem, is that you cannot, you're going to have to rely on something. And I think the Lions is pretty clear that they rely on their offense, disproportionately probably.
But their defense actually sort of saved them today and kept it closer.
Save is a strong word. I would say they didn't let them score 38 points like the Chargers did.
It was 14-10 at the half, right? I mean, they held them after that first touchdown on the first drive. They scored 3 points the next 18 minutes of football, or whatever the math is there, right? So and then the third quarter they struggled again defensively, right? And they got it back in the fourth quarter. Yeah,
I mean they weren't as bad as they were last week, but they certainly weren't doing the Lions like that many favors. They did have 2 takeaways, I believe, right?
They did. Well, one was at the very end, but 4 turnovers and you only give up 26 points. That's not terrible.
It's not amazing, but that's the problem here. Is the Lions have to. They have to understand, I think, who they are. They have to understand, that offensively, you're just not going to be able to survive these kind of games because the defense is only going to be able to do so much for you. And yes, they did enough to win the game. I think that's the mantra for the defense is like, as long as we score 1 more point in the team, everything's good. Whether we win 51-50 or whatever, the defense is what it is. They just aren't going to be this overpowering, we're going to save the day kind of a unit. But the offense has to do its job, and I don't think we're going to see this kind of a performance again. It was weird.
It was part of it's fluky. Part of it's just
part of it was fluky.
Part of it's just bad luck, right?
Some of it's bad luck, but also good luck because he could have thrown 2 more picks and a pick 6, and included in that. So, it goes both ways. But I think Jared Goff wanted to come in positive in the press conference, and he did, and he kind of pushed back a little bit on the booing, like, really? People booed, like pretending you didn't hear it, right? They booed. And because they expect more from this team, well, that's fair. But you have to understand, I think with him, you can't feel good about this game. And even though he said the game is so much more than just about me and my performance or whatever, yes and no. I mean, he's talking about glory stats, and playing quarterback is not just about glory stats and whatever, but it's about doing the right things to win the game. And that's what he did at the end, in that comeback.
He was great.
He was great. And he led the team the way that we've seen them, do it for most of the season. But I hope he's a little bit concerned about this. It's like, listen, what was it? What was I not seeing? Because you can only look at so much during the game. They're looking at their, tablets and all that stuff. But I hope he has enough time for a deep dive before they play the Packers. Hey, let's make sure that I'm seeing the right things, talking to Ben Johnson, talking to Mark Brunell. Let's clean it up.
It's harder to see when you don't have time to throw. I mean, it just is. It clouds the vision a little bit when you're under pressure. In any situation as a human being, it's going to be trickier. It's just how it is. And so he's got to figure out, how can I take fewer chances or see a little bit more clearly under duress? Because the tougher the team, the more he's going to be under duress.
Yes,
there's no way around that, right?
But it's not like it was not like that it was the 85 Bears.
That pocket was collapsing very, very quickly. And by the way, and this was part of my column before I had to, actually maybe I kept part of it, but early third quarter. So they come out, they struggle in the first half, they get the last minute drive to end of the second quarter. They go up 14-10. It's a nice drive. They come out, they're up by 4. They get the ball because they deferred it to start the game, right? And they get to about midfield, and they're running the ball. A little bit of passing, they're running. Montgomery's running well. By the way, what a pickup he's been for the Lions. And you can talk more about him in a sec. But they get to midfield. It's 3rd and 2. And this is one of the few times I thought Ben Johnson made a mistake. Look, nobody's going to be perfect, even your guy, and that's fine. But you said earlier, be who you are. They weren't who they were in that moment. It was 3rd and 2. They'd been running the ball. They got one of the best offensive lines. They got a really good running back in Montgomery and another good one in Gibbs. But especially Montgomery in those short yardage situations. And they're at midfield, so Dan Campbell could probably say, hey, I'll take 2 runs to try to get the 2 yards. And what do they do? It's a deep drop back with no extra protection. There's no back to block. The linebacker, Sanborn, I think, blitzes and sacks him, and that's it. And then from that play until the last 4 minutes of the game, it was a deluge the other way. Now, that play wasn't responsible, obviously.
Right.
But I thought everything was a little off kilter.
Yeah,
including moments like that. What was on kilter? Is that even a thing to say? Montgomery, and then your guy Jameson Williams, who's just looking a little bit better. At least looking like a maybe an NFL player.
Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts because you caught up with JMO in the locker room. But hands like a vice, Shawn. Just amazing catching ability for one game at least. So
into the chest after you get in the ball.
Body catcher Jameson Williams. He had that beautiful deep pass to him, 32 yards for a touchdown. That started it all right for the comeback. Mm-hmm. And like I've said this before, and you talk to him after the game, he's always in good spirits. He's always cheerful. I think he's accepted probably, who he is and what he needs to work on. Essentially almost like a rookie this year. So, that always helps. Having the right attitude, I think, helps in these situations, not being defensive, not being pushing back and pretending that, everything's fine. And he knows he needs stuff to work on. And, 3 passes a day, he caught 2. So, a piece. And that's what they wanted out of him this year is just be a piece. Mm-hmm. And he certainly was in a crucial moment. So credit to him. But what did he say that impressed you?
Didn't he pick up a third down conversion earlier in the game too on a crossing route, and he got hit right after he caught it from behind. And we were, boy, I hate to say this, but we were sort of surprised he held on to the ball.
So the crowd, they cheered wildly.
Yeah, they did. If they can get even just that, they don't need a long over-the-top touchdown every game, although they certainly would take it.
Not this year.
They would certainly take it. I don't know. Look, is he ever going to be Jamar Chase or prime DeAndre Hopkins or No, he's not. Justin Jefferson, he's not. But can he be a pretty electric player and make a difference for them at some point? He can be. The most important thing is, and I talked to him, Dan Campbell mentioned this a little bit. I talked to Taylor Decker, Alex Anzalone, a couple other guys that they like him in the locker room because he has done his assignments, even as he struggled with route running, where to be at certain times, how to react if the play breaks down, gaining the connection and the trust with Jared Goff in particular, and then dropping the balls, obviously. Right, and everybody knows what he's been through, and the injuries, and the gambling, and suspension, and ACL coming out of Alabama, all of that. But the fact that he's starting to make a play here or there, and the fact that he all along has made football plays that don't, he had a really nice block on one of Montgomery's early runs in the first quarter, and you can see the way the team is reacting to him. Yeah, coming off the sideline,
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because they know, right? They understand that.
Oh yeah.
So that's something I want to say that saved him, but that has kept him connected. And then a lot of his teammates were talking about that. Hey, he's struggling with all this stuff, but he's doing little football things and likes to play football. And as you mentioned, you've talked to him. He's kind of he doesn't take himself too seriously in that way, does he? Yeah. He takes his work serious.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't get a fair shake for that, but he does. He works at it.
Yeah. No, he's got the right attitude. And I think Campbell said after the game, he's part of the herd, he's been accepted. And I think that's the thing in football. It's really just, you may have varying degrees of success, right? But it's always, are you working at getting better and helping the team, even if you're not great? I mean, they don't care that he was the 12th overall pick. They don't care. Nobody cares about that. On the
fans
team. Fans do. Players don't. Teams don't. It's just, who are you going to come in here and you're going to work and you're going to try to help? Are you not going to? You're going to be unselfish. If you do those things, it's just like any sports team, really, right? I mean, if you're unselfish and you're helping the team by getting better yourself, by doing things like, blocking, you'll be accepted and people will appreciate that and they'll give you chances for it. And, that's where he is right now. Next year, Assuming that he has a full season and there's no injuries or no suspensions or whatever it might be. If he has a real normal, just full season, I think that's when you've got to see year 3. You've got to see something out of him.
The expectation
is just, yeah. So, but today, he did something important, something vital that helped the team. That's a huge step.
They don't win without him today, right? If he doesn't get behind the defense and they have to chew up Mark, I mean, you just don't know. Maybe you can't say that for sure, but I'm not sure they won without him today in that play.
Fair.
I mean, but you need everybody. I'm not sure. We're going to wrap this up here in a sec. I'm not sure we've done enough to say just how crazy that was. We've been focused on how poorly they played and the struggles and all of this kind of stuff, and that's all true. But they were down 26-14 with 4 minutes to go and won the game.
Yeah,
that's not something people are used to around here.
Yeah, they really. It felt weird, I think at halftime they were winning, right? 14-10. And I said, it doesn't feel like they're winning. It just they were doing so many things.
You did say that
to hurt themselves.
Yeah, doing bites of a coney dog, I think.
Yeah, and it
mustard,
was
right?
And chili. Yeah.
And chili.
No onions.
No onions.
It's gross.
You don't like onions? Too much flavor?
Not raw.
Too much flavor?
It overwhelms
Tastes
the
too
dish.
Good? Yeah.
No, it overwhelms the dish. It's overpowers.
The accents.
I like the subtlety. I like you have to build depth of flavor.
Oh, okay.
And that's why, because they probably should have been up by more. I guess that's what we're used to, but they'd had more opportunities, and because of the turnovers, they weren't happening, and they were letting the Bears get closer. And
4 turnovers.
And you looked at the Bears, and the Bears should have been up by more, but they couldn't capitalize as much as they should have either. So it had a weird feel to it, but yeah, they pulled it out dramatically at the end. So it depends on your outlook, right? Despite the booze, which I have to say, you
don't blame them.
I do. I don't like it. I don't like it because, listen, you can't be fair weather. You can't just, if you're any kind of intelligent fan, you can't just say, we scored, yay, pick, boo.
That's not being fair weather, right? Fair weather means you're engaged, you're indifferent.
Fair weather means you're up when you're up, and you're down when you're down.
They care the whole time. They care the whole time, right?
Yeah, but have some perspective.
The booing comes from.
Have some perspective.
How's it hard to have? It's hard to have perspective when you're out there in the middle of that and you're wrapped onto this. It's the first time they're 8-2 since 1962. You want these people to
you're not
a fan.
No, you're not a fan. I'm still a fan of my teams. You have no rooting interest in any team, so you understand.
Actually, I have. I
do. Who? Who do you root for?
I can't. I'm not going to say that right now.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I root hard for my Dodgers, for my Kings, for my college baseball team, and I almost break furniture when things don't go well. But I don't boo people. I don't get on them right away. I understand.
I don't do that either,
mistakes,
but I understand why people do it. That's not for me. But I'm not going to. I certainly understand people doing that. They care. They're passionate.
Sure they do, and the ticket gives you the right to do whatever you want. I believe that.
Well,
but I think the
reason,
better fan
within reason.
Well, yes, I mean cheering and booing, whatever. But I just don't like the knee-jerk reactions to hey, Goff's throwing some picks, whatever. Wow. It's not going the right way. We called a run play instead of a pass. I don't like it. Let me start booing. Come on.
Look, I'm grateful for that because if it weren't for that, nobody would be listening to us right now. Or
you can still be passionate.
Or reading our stuff. I mean, we are navigating in the currency. We're dealing in the currency of this kind of unfettered passion. It's often nonsensical. There's not a lot of logic to it, right? That's part of the experience.
It doesn't have to be that way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, but it is that way. It's that way all over the world, and it's a good thing as long as it doesn't get violent. You're not a violent man.
No,
you're a peaceful man.
Yeah, of course.
You just don't like raw onion on your chili dog. What about tacos?
Yeah, I got to sit next to you. Do you want me to eat raw?
What about tacos? Because a nice little Al Pastor,
it depends.
Al Pastor taco, for example, or burrito taco, whatever, a little cilantro and cut up white onion.
Disgusting. It should be outlawed, but
you don't like anything with braised and that much flavor.
Goat meat should be outlawed. I don't even know why.
Oh my God, goat meat's actually delicious.
It's disgusting.
Menudo
should be disgusting. It should be outlawed too. Anyway,
you don't like menudo either.
Tripe?
No, I know what menudo is. I understand tripe a little bit more, but you don't like goat?
No, it's gross. At least birria, the way it's
made, goat's not that different from lamb.
Oh, it's a lot different. I don't. Yeah,
it's really not.
Yeah, I don't eat lamb either, but
okay,
that's just a conscientious thing. But.
Onion,
onion won't fix it all.
Do you eat celery?
I try to avoid it. Actually.
Do you? Yeah, so the pot roast that I brought you, that's cooked with It starts off with
it's different. No,
carrot and celery and onion, actually, and all sorts of stuff.
Cooked stuff is fine, but it just like chopped up and like, here, let's get rid of this.
Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. Speaking of food, the next time we get together is going to be Thanksgiving right here.
Are you coming?
I am. The Detroit Lions are going to play. Do I need to say Detroit? The Lions are going to play. Well, they're always
You're not Dan Miller. They're always
Detroit
Lions.
They're always putting Detroit in our copies if we don't know if we don't know where we are. The readers don't know where we are. We'll be back here Thursday for the Lions Packers Thanksgiving game. White meat or dark meat for your turkey? Or white meat,
of course,
or duck.
It's leaner.
What about duck?
I haven't had a lot of duck. I don't know. Last time I had duck was duck l'orange. How is it prepared?
My mother used to always make a duck on Thanksgiving along with a turkey. Oh,
wow. Impressive.
Oh, I miss those days. That was really good. I'm a dark meat kind of guy, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. Well, it's
you're a man of the people.
No, well, there's just more flavor there, But white meat's healthier for you. So,
yeah.
So it's a trade-off. I totally understand that. All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
We'll be back Thursday, and we'll see if they can get the 9-2 for the first time. Again, 4 minutes to go, down 12 points. Bam, bam. 2 impressive drives. The one to Jameson Williams, a couple of stops. The last one leads in a safety when Hutchinson got back, and all of a sudden they're 8-2 for the first time in 40 years. No, longer than that. 62 years. Sorry, which is really something. So
61 years.
Yeah. Are you used to this? Are you used to that? We're all of a sudden getting into this territory where we're starting to say, hey, they haven't done something like this in 6 decades. It's
a little bit. I mean,
does it feel normal yet?
They've broken some, the 0 for Wisconsin streak over the years and stuff. So little by little, I mean, they've for those of us who've been here during the lean years, Shawn, like they've gotten better progressively, little by little since 0-16. And this is obviously the high point under the Campbell era. But yeah, I'm kind of getting used to it now, aren't you?
Yeah, but this feels a little bit different, as I think people out there would tell you. But that's a little more nuanced, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I don't have that
capability.
I certainly don't either. All right, you got to go right. I have to go try to write. I'm not sure if I can. But in any case, thanks for joining us on this Sunday edition of Free Press Sports with Carlos and Shawn. Always good to see you, buddy.
All right, you too, Shawn.
All right, until Thursday after Thanksgiving.